I always believed my job as a delivery driver was straightforward. Drive, deliver, and drive back. That was until the day my GPS malfunctioned, leading me through the winding roads of a remote mountain range, and towards a military base known more for its myths than its might. This is where my ordinary life took an extraordinary turn. It was a crisp Tuesday morning, and I had a package to deliver. The address, strangely enough, pointed towards the military base at the foot of the mountains. I'd heard stories about this place, mostly whispers of top-secret experiments in forbidden territory. I'd always dismissed these as rural legends, but there was an unnerving air as I approached the gates. The guard at the entrance seemed as puzzled as I was by the delivery address. Scratching his head, he waved me through, instructing me to head towards the administrative building. I drove past rows of barracks and military vehicles, feeling the weight of numerous eyes on me. The base was vast, but it had an eerie quietness, like a town abandoned in haste. Following the GPS directions, I found myself at a nondescript building, far removed from the central hub of activity. No signage, no windows, just a steel door and a loading dock. I parked and hauled the package out, approaching the door. That's when things started to go awry. As I pressed the buzzer, the ground beneath me shuddered. The door swung open, and I was greeted not by a person, but by a gaping elevator, large enough to fit a truck. Confusion clouded my judgment as I stepped in, package in hand, thinking this was part of the delivery process. The moment the elevator doors closed, a sinking feeling hit me, quite literally. The elevator began its descent, and the numbers on the panel were a blur, ticking down rapidly. I was going deeper into the earth than I had ever imagined. I tried pressing buttons, but the elevator seemed to have a mind of its own. As I descended into the depths, I overheard a crackling voice from the intercom speaking about Echo Ridge. My heart raced. This was no ordinary military base, and I was about to uncover its deepest secrets. The elevator's relentless descent finally halted with a jarring thud that echoed through the metal box. The door slid open, revealing a corridor bathed in sterile white light. Stepping out, I clutched the package tighter, my senses heightened by the uncertainty of my surroundings. This was no ordinary military facility. The air was thick with a palpable tension that made my skin crawl. I cautiously moved down the corridor, passing doors with cryptic labels and observing cameras that dotted the ceiling. The deeper I ventured, the more I realized this place was shrouded in mystery. Hushed voices and hurried footsteps resonated off the walls, but no one was in sight. It felt like I was walking through a ghost town, one hidden deep beneath the mountain. As I turned a corner, I stumbled upon an open area bustling with activity. My jaw dropped in disbelief. Before me, humans and creatures of an otherworldly nature worked side by side. These beings, aliens, were nothing like the fictional creatures I'd seen in movies. They were tall and slender, with translucent skin that revealed a faint luminescent vascular system underneath. Their eyes, large and unblinking, seemed to miss nothing. I ducked behind a pillar, my heart racing. I watched as they interacted with the humans' conversation seemed tense but collaborative. I overheard snippets about project timelines and surface impact. The sheer scale of what was happening around me was overwhelming. I was in over my head, a mere delivery driver caught in a clandestine operation involving beings from another world. In my daze, I barely noticed the military official who approached me. He was stern, his eyes narrowing as he took in my delivery uniform. "You're not supposed to be here," he said coldly. "Follow me, now." I complied, fear knotting my stomach. He led me through a series of corridors, and we arrived at a room marked Control Center. As he spoke into his radio, calling for a cleanup at the loading dock, my eyes caught sight of a screen displaying a map of the facility Echo Ridge. It was massive, extending over 50 floors beneath the earth. Realizing this might be my only chance, I made a split-second decision. As the official was distracted, I slipped away, blending into the maze of corridors. I had to see more, to understand what was happening in the depths of Echo Ridge. With my heart pounding in my chest, I ventured deeper into the labyrinth of Echo Ridge. The corridors were a maze, each turn revealing more of this hidden world. The air was heavy with a sense of urgency, and the further I went, the more I felt the gravity of what lay beneath the surface. As I moved stealthily, I glimpsed rooms filled with technologies that defied my understanding. There were machines pulsating with energy, screens displaying star charts and unknown languages, and more interactions between humans and aliens. The atmosphere was one of controlled chaos, a symphony of a secret operation unfolding before my eyes. In one lab, I saw what looked like a portal, shimmering with an otherworldly glow. Scientists and aliens worked side by side, tweaking the device with precise movements. My mind raced with questions. Was this a gateway to another world? A new dimension? The possibilities were as terrifying as they were fascinating. I overheard bits and pieces of conversations about surface integration and Phase 2 commencement. It was clear that whatever was happening here wasn't confined to the depths of this mountain. It had implications far beyond. I continued my surreptitious journey until I stumbled upon a room that sent chills down my spine. Through the glass, I saw a group of creatures unlike the others I had encountered. They were confined, looking distressed and agitated. A sign read "Specimen Containment." The sight was deeply unsettling. It was one thing to work alongside aliens, but another to hold them against their will. As I absorbed the gravity of this discovery, I accidentally bumped into a cart, sending a metal object clattering to the floor. The sound echoed through the hall, and I knew I had to move quickly. I dashed down the nearest corridor, my breath ragged in my ears. I soon found myself outside a conference room. Through the gap in the door, I saw military officials and alien delegates in a heated discussion. The words surface impact and experiment activation floated out to me. My mind reeled at the thought of what kind of experiment they could be discussing, one that involved both humans and aliens, and had the potential to impact the surface world. In that moment, I realized the true scope of Echo Ridge. It wasn't just a military base or research facility, it was a nexus point for something much bigger, something that could change the world as we knew it. And I had unwittingly become a part of it. My discovery at the conference room marked the turning point. I knew I couldn't just leave Echo Ridge with this knowledge. The weight of responsibility bore down on me, yet fear gnawed my resolve. I had to act, but I was just a delivery driver in a world of soldiers and extraterrestrials. As I turned to leave, an alarm blared through the facility. Red lights flashed, bathing the corridor in an ominous glow. I heard shouts and the sound of rushing footsteps. They had discovered my intrusion. Panic set in, and instinct took over. I ran, darting through corridors, my mind racing for a way out. But escape wasn't my only goal now. I needed to stop whatever they were planning. In my frenzied dash, I found myself back at the conference room. The door was ajar, the room now empty. I slipped inside, hoping to find anything to give me an edge. My eyes fell upon a set of documents labeled Operation Ascendancy. Skimming through, I realized the horrifying truth. They planned to activate a device, one that could potentially alter the fabric of reality. The experiment was set to commence imminently. Adrenaline surged through me. I couldn't let this happen. I had to sabotage their plan. But how? I was no scientist or soldier, I was out of my depth. Yet, the determination to prevent a potential catastrophe propelled me forward. Clutching the documents, I left the room and stumbled upon a group of scientists and aliens, their expressions marked with worry and dissent. Among them, I recognized a face from the containment room, a sympathetic scientist who seemed uncomfortable with the project. In a moment of reckless bravery, I approached them. "I know about Operation Ascendancy," I said, my voice barely above a whisper. "I want to help stop it." To my surprise, they didn't call for security. Instead, a look of relief washed over their faces. They were part of a covert resistance within Echo Ridge, working against the experiment. With their guidance, I navigated the facility's underbelly towards the main control center. The plan was to introduce a virus into the system, delaying the experiment and giving the resistance more time to act. The facility was in chaos, allowing us to move relatively unnoticed. But as we reached the control center, we were met with armed guards. A standoff ensued, the tension palpable. Then, chaos erupted. The resistance members acted swiftly, engaging the guards. Amidst the confusion, I rushed to the main console, the virus-loaded USB in hand. My heart pounded as I inserted it into the port. The screen flickered, and an array of codes cascaded down. I had done it, I had sabotaged the experiment. But our triumph was short-lived. Reinforcements swarmed the control center, and our small group was quickly overwhelmed. As I was being restrained, my eyes met those of the sympathetic scientist. There was a silent promise in that glance: the fight wasn't over. But for me, it was the end of the line. Or so I thought. Captured and disoriented, I was dragged through the facility. The reality of my situation weighed heavily on me. I had disrupted their plans, but at what cost? I was just a delivery driver, now a prisoner in a world that was beyond my comprehension. But fate, it seemed, had other plans. The facility trembled, lights flickering, as if reacting to the virus I had introduced into the system. In the ensuing chaos, the grip of my captors loosened. Seizing the opportunity, I broke free, sprinting through the disarray. I ran, driven by a desperate need to escape and reveal the truth of Echo Ridge. I maneuvered through the chaos, dodging soldiers and scientists. I saw the resistance members fighting bravely, their determination inspiring me to push through my fear. As I navigated the maze-like corridors, I stumbled upon the group of alien specimens I had seen earlier. The containment area was compromised, and they were escaping. One of them, a being with piercing blue eyes, paused and looked directly at me. There was an intelligence and a depth of emotion in its gaze that was unmistakably sentient. In that moment, I understood that these creatures were not just specimens, they were sentient beings, caught in a conflict they didn't choose. Pushing forward, I finally reached the elevator. The facility was in lockdown, but the power surges caused by the virus had disrupted the security protocols. I entered the elevator, my heart racing as I ascended towards the surface. As the elevator climbed, I felt the weight of what I had witnessed. Echo Ridge was a place of wonders and horrors, a junction of human ambition and extraterrestrial involvement. The knowledge I had gained was a burden I would carry forever. Reaching the surface, I emerged into the fading light of day. The base seemed normal, the chaos hidden beneath a facade of military precision. But I knew better. I had evidence, the documents from the control center. They were my proof of the truths lurking beneath Echo Ridge. I slipped away from the base, unnoticed in the shift change of the guards. As I drove away, the mountain range looming in my rearview mirror, I was filled with a mix of relief and dread. Relief at my escape, and dread for the unknown consequences of what I had set in motion. The world above remained oblivious to the shadow cast by Echo Ridge, but I couldn't unsee what I had witnessed. The fight against Operation Ascendancy was not mine alone anymore. The resistance within Echo Ridge would carry on, but I had a different role to play now. I had to expose the truth, no matter the cost. I drove through the night, the haunting memories of Echo Ridge etched into my mind. The road ahead was uncertain, but I was fueled by a newfound purpose. The world needed to know about the depths beneath the mountain, about the collaboration and conflict between humans and extraterrestrials, and the dangers of unbridled ambition. As dawn broke, I found myself miles away from the base, in a small, nondescript diner. The normalcy of the scene around me was jarring. People went about their lives, unaware of the hidden world I had just escaped. I sat there, clutching the stolen documents, the only tangible proof of my ordeal. I knew the risks of exposing Echo Ridge. The military would go to great lengths to keep it a secret. But the public deserved the truth. The operation I had disrupted wasn't just a military experiment, it was a gamble with the unknown, one that could have dire consequences for everyone. But how could I, Alex the delivery driver, make them believe? The story seemed like a delusion, a plot lifted from a science fiction novel. Yet, the documents in my possession held the power to change minds, to reveal the truth in undeniable clarity. I made a decision. I would leak the documents anonymously. Let the truth stand on its own. The diner's Wi-Fi provided the anonymity I needed. I scanned and uploaded the documents to every major news outlet I could think of, and to the internet at large. The truth about Echo Ridge would no longer be buried beneath layers of secrecy. As I had said, I felt a mix of relief and apprehension. I had crossed the point of no return. My life would never be the same again. The once clear lines of my existence had been blurred, rewritten by the knowledge of what lay beneath Echo Ridge. In the days that followed, the world erupted with the revelations of Echo Ridge. Debates raged, conspiracies were born, and the truth fought its way through skepticism and disbelief. The military denied, then remained silent, their silence speaking volumes. As for me, I disappeared into the background. My role in the story of Echo Ridge remained unknown, a secret I would carry forever. The diner, the documents, and the decision to reveal the truth were now part of a past life. I had seen the depths of human and alien ambition, the thin line between discovery and disaster. Echo Ridge continued to be shrouded in mystery and speculation. But somewhere in that hidden world, the resistance fought on, and the truth, once buried, found its way to the surface. I drove on, a silent guardian of a secret too vast for any one person to bear, knowing that the world above remained blissfully unaware of the shadows cast by the depths of Echo Ridge.